Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Take It to the Hizzy Octagon Talk, TITTH number 165. I'm your host, Justin Bruni. I got Nick Davis with me tonight. Happy Saturday, sir. How are we doing?
Good. Just chilling for the day. So glad to be talking UFC. And yeah, excited for the fights.
Yeah, it's going to be some great matchups tonight. Looking forward to UFC 265. And yeah, it was a very, very busy week. So I'm anxious to kick back and relax a little bit. Was even busy today, running around, ragging around town, doing some chores and whatnot. So yeah, excited to sit down and talk some fights. How's everything else going? I saw we had a nice uptick in Doge. Was that today or yesterday?
No, it was today. Well, technically in like Universal time, it was yesterday because Universal time, it restarts at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So it's went up like 30% to 27, which was awesome. So, it's good to see a little pop. And, if you're not in it for the long haul, it's really not for you because there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. The energy can't stay forever, but when it pops, man, the energy is going to come back. So I'm in it for 5 years. I'm chilling right now, just enjoying the ride and, talking UFC in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was nice to see I made a couple of bucks today. I saw it skyrocket. I got a new phone like a week ago or something like that, so I've been locked out of my Robinhood app. I hadn't really been checking it because it was pretty low. But I was sitting around today waiting on my wife, and I was like, I'll pop back in there. I'll run through the password BS and get back in there. I was like, oh, what a day to check back in. That's nice. Because I'm the same way. Long term, just let it sit and ride with it. But yeah, looking forward to talking some fights. Got a little extra cash laying around. Made some money on preseason football. So that means I got money to lose tonight. Let's go. Ready to get into it. There we go. Keep in mind, guys, we got a football show tomorrow morning for TITTH number 166 fantasy football. Nick Amaron and I will be talking some running back debates. But tonight we got some MMA. So let's just jump right into it. First up, we've got Yadong Song versus Casey Kenny. Who you got in this one, Nick? Who's your fave?
So I actually joined a new league for MMA. A good friend of mine on Twitter, he has a couple leagues, and I actually took Casey Kenny. What I liked about it was his recent performances. He did lose to Dominic Cruz, but he lost in a decision. So it wasn't like he was like knocked out or submitted. But other than that, he had 2 wins, while I think Yadong had a couple losses. So I'm going to take Kenny in this one to win by decision. I don't think he's going to get knocked out. I don't think that it's going to be a submission, but I do think it's going to go to the bell.
Well, Kenny has not been knocked out, and he's also never been tapped, so there's a lot of upside there. But I actually like Yadong Song in this one. He's got, in my opinion, better hands, faster hands, and can lay down a little bit more volume. Kenny, a little bit more of a striker with his legs. He's got very powerful leg kicks, and I think that could set up, some opportunities for him tonight. What I like about Kenny is his takedown ability. He can do a little bit of everything. He can fight in the clinch, he can stand up and box with you, and he can also take you down to the ground. So I think there is some opportunity for Song to clean him up early in this one, maybe a finish in the first or second round. But regardless, I think we're going to be off to some fireworks right out of the gate here. I think both of these guys are going to stand and box at least for a good portion of the first round. And I think Kenny will probably try to lean on more of his grappling and takedown tactics towards the latter half of this fight if it does get to there like you're expecting. So like maybe in the latter half of the second round, third round, I think we start to see Kenny use his legs a little bit more. I think he is going to come out really heavy and try to lay those front kicks hard on Song. Song likes to lead forward with that front leg, so that's going to be exposed for Kenny, and I think that will be some opportunity for him. But what I liked about that Dominic Cruz fight when Dominic Cruz did beat Kenny was he kept a very square stance. He didn't lead with one leg like Song likes to do. So I would actually like for Song to incorporate some of that strategy tonight. We'll see what happens with it, but if he does leave that leg out there for long, or numerous, or whatever, prolonged throughout this fight, I think there could be some opportunity for Kenny to, set up the takedowns with the leg attacks. Any props that you like this one in particular? I know the striking. What are we looking at here? Kenny has the higher strike total. I think it's at 92.5, and Song is at 76.5. So if they're going the distance, do you like both of these guys to clear those numbers?
Yeah, I think so. What kind of impressed me though is with Kenny, he actually lost a split decision. It wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
like a majority decision. So the card was split on it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you split Dominic Cruz, that's incredible considering he's like a magician making people miss.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that you got to pay a little bit of respect to Kenny to that, even though Song definitely has like the better recent record through like 6-7 fights. But I think Kenny is going to come out and, like you said, possibly attack the leg. But I think they're going to rock 'em, sock 'em robots. But they're not going to be knocked out. They both have pretty strong chins.
Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, Song only lost to Kyler Phillips in his last fight. That was in March of this year. Prior to that loss, he hadn't lost since 2016. So he was on a really good run, like the Marlon Vera win, like the Alejandro Perez win, Vince Morales, etc. So he's been looking really good. Like I said, he's got a lot of power in those hands. I think this is going to be, like you said, a rock'em sock'em type of fight. But I'm going to take Song to finish this one in the first or second round. I do like the under 2.5 rounds, which I believe is paying plus 180. I do like the value there because Kenny has said as much like, hey, like I want to come out and I do want to put on a show. I think that honestly, both of these guys deserve to fight at the upper echelon of this class, but one of them has to come out and do something special. So I think that Kenny isn't necessarily going to, play it safe and just go for the takedowns early. I think he'll try to lean on that strategy as we get to the latter half of this fight. So I do expect a lot of contact and a lot of aggression right out of the gate, right in the first couple of minutes. But I also like Song's cardio a little bit more. When you look at Kenny in those third rounds, latter half of the second rounds, the shoulders, the arms, they start to get a little bit heavier. He's definitely huffing and puffing a little bit more. And Song in the later rounds, he looks as good as he does in the first minute or so from the bout. So I'm going with Song in this one. Let's roll through some props and see what we have here. You like the fight to go the distance. So, starting round 2, minus 550. Start round 3, minus 260. So maybe that's where I find some value in the second round. Inside the distance is Song plus 300, Kenny plus 385. So the books really do like this one to go the distance. For a decision, it's paying at minus 185. Do you like that for either of these guys to finish the fight?
Yeah, not to finish the fight inside the distance, but to go to decision. I definitely agree. It's kind of interesting. I didn't even look at this, but when I was making my picks, I should look at this a little bit more. But I was right on line with the decision for both of them, and that's where I'm at.
I got you. Yes. So Yadong Song, first round TKO plus 1,200. I like that. The plus 1,400, not that far off from round 2. I think honestly that's what I like the most because I still feel like Kenny's going to be really spry in that first round. To me, it's just can either of these guys hurt each other to the point where one has the opportunity to finish the other? Because like we both said, both have very strong chins. Kenny's never been knocked out or tapped, so he has a little bit more upside in that fact. And he's just an older, more experienced fighter. I think Song's about 23 right now. Mm-hmm. So I do like his athleticism. I do like his cardio a little bit more. Both have a lot of upside to take this fight through 3 rounds. I just feel like Song still has that finishing power in his hands to end this one at any time. And I do feel like those leg kicks, while they will set up opportunities for takedowns for Kenny to bring Song to the ground, it also kind of leaves him exposed for counters. Because that left leg is really heavy, but it's not like a swift kick, right? Like it's coming so hard, you're going to see it coming just a little bit, and I feel like that's going to leave some opportunities for counters for Song in this one. So I really like that second round finish. The odds favorite are Kenny by points, followed by Song by points, but then the next 2 are Song TKO, Casey by TKO. So they're not really banking on a submission here. Any thoughts on Casey landing a sub? Early, late? It's not fireworks, but it'll definitely move him up the chain.
I don't see like my top 2 ways of this fight finishing is Kenny by points or Sadong by knockout. And I would say, second or third round. Honestly, when you mentioned like how Kenny's body language gets, lower as the fight goes on, that's absolutely true. I mean, in the later rounds, he looks like he's been through hell and back. And I kind of see that leaving open for the overhand right from Song because That's kind of like the finishing move when you're fighting against a southpaw kind of guy. And if you
Mm-hmm.
have the power when someone's tired, you just got to hit the button, and I think that could happen in the second or third round. So plus 1,400, plus 1,500, or plus 400 for Song and TKO. Those are some good value plays.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and hedge the Yadong by points and the KO in the second round. I think that's going to give me some good takeaways there. Obviously, I need him to win, but
Yeah.
I think I'll be taking home some profit there. All right, let's move on. We got Tesha Torres and Angela Hill. These two fought about 6 years ago. Tesha Torres took home the W. I believe it was in Mexico City. I don't know, somewhere at altitude, somewhere where they were fighting at altitude. Angela Hill says she wasn't prepared. She was huffing and puffing. She got there, a couple of days beforehand, and it played a factor into the fight. Hill also said, "Hey, Torres said she wanted to stand in box with me, and then we didn't stand in box." I'm like, well, shame on you for believing her. But we got round 2 here. A lot's changed over the past 6 years. Who do you got in this one?
I actually had Tesha Torres by decision. These fighters, I believe, from what I remember, so there was only a stoppage by an eye injury, and Torres' last fight, which she won. But previous fights all went to decision. She's 2-4 in the last in the last 6 fights, but she went against Jessica Andre and Jonah. Oh man, her name always gets me. Jurgajevsky. So that she lost to those, but those are decision losses. Like, she wasn't knocked out by them. And I don't see Angela having the power. Recently, she hasn't. Her last stoppage by win was January of 2020, but since then it's just been decision. Even though she's had a couple canceled fights. So I'm going to say Tesha Torres wins by decision in this one.
Well, the books really like it to go the distance. It's paying minus 450 for over 2.5 rounds. So
I should be a bookie. Shit.
I like Tesha Torres and the over of 2.5 rounds. Angela Hill's got a total record of 13-9. I mean, I don't know how many. Yeah, she hasn't really been that impressive. The striking is there for her. She lands like about 5 strikes per minute, but there's really nothing that in her toolbox that overwhelms me. Like, she can do a little bit of everything. She can grapple too. She can get you into the clinch, but at the end of the day, she's not an out of this world fighter. Torres has been just fighting better names in this class, just, losing to them. But at the same time, iron sharpens iron, right? So, she's been learning from the best because, like we always say, we learn more from our losses, right? But both are pretty accurate strikers. Both can get a takedown here or there. But I'm going with Tesha Torres. To me, she's just a better fighter. I mean, we just watch the tape. I mean, Angela Hill, she's just night and day. She can come out, really good in one fight and not bounce back the other. After she lost to Tesha Torres, their first go around, she lost to Rose Namajunas, who was just coming into the UFC. That's probably the biggest name that she's fought. Tesha Torres, Rose Namajunas, and then just go down the list. And she's losing to nobodies, like ladies that aren't even in the UFC anymore, I believe. So I'm not a fan. I'm going with Tesha Torres in this one. Props wise, I don't even know if we're going to eclipse the total strikes. So we're looking at 114 for Tesha Torres and 86.5 for Angela Hill. You taking the over for either?
I'm going to say yes.
We both agree that it's going to go 3 rounds. So do you think they both go over that number?
Yeah, I think they do.
I don't know. I feel like they're going to go under. I feel like it's going to be more feeling out. I don't know if you watched the presser yesterday, but one of the reporters just said, "Oh, you guys seem like really comfortable talking to each other. Like, is there really any tension here?" And then they just went on this run of just passive aggressive commentary towards each other, to which like literally fighters were yelling. I think Casey Kenny was just yelling "cuckoo, cuckoo" into his mic, and then Dana White just abruptly says, "Yes, there's tension. Next question." Like, he just like cuts it off. Because they were just endless with it, just going back and forth with like social media beefs and, "Oh, you said this about me and you said this about this." It's like, okay, great. Yes, there's tension. Y'all don't like each other, even though you're kind of pretending to. So, yeah, I like Tesha Torres in this one. Let's jump into some props. And, of course, I do like the over 2.5 rounds. Like you said, all these fights have been going to decision. Tesha Torres by points is paying plus 120. I don't know what's better, taking that or her to win plus the over 2.5. What do you think?
I'm gonna say her winning plus winning with the over 2.5.
Okay, I feel like just the plus 120 should be enough. But Angela Hill by points is at plus 135. The books feel like that's going to be close. I don't think so. I mean, she had she had a decent bout in her last fight. It was Ashley Yoder,
Wow.
but it went to decision. It was her first win in a while, I think. Tapology has this one, Torres, 60-40, and 92% agree that it's going to be by decision. So I'm going that way as well. I watched some tape on both of these fighters, and to me, there's nothing that really overwhelms me to say like, oh, both of these ladies should be at the upper echelon of the class. Kind of similar. I was talking about Song and Kenny. Just some ladies filling in. Obviously, we lost Amanda Nunes on this fight. She had COVID, so we lost that heavyweight bout, the co-main event. So somebody's got to step up and in. Let's look at some props though. Man, they're not giving us anything to start rounds 2 and 3. Minus 1,000 to start round 2. Minus 500 to start round 3. Like it's not even fun. What am I supposed to do with this? Let me take a look here. Goes the distance minus 350. Torres by points to plus 120. Hill plus 135. Really isn't a lot of fun. Not a lot of fun props in this card this evening. Certainly not as good as the blood props we got in the McGregor card or Poirier card. Let's see. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot there. Is there any on the list here that you see that excite you?
No. I mean, I'm just like all my decisions for this fight are the favorites. So
all the favorites. Interesting. A lot of very close fights though. So the numbers may not always be up to date. But
I meant like for like this fight, like the ones that I like Torres by points. That's the number one, and then Torres by points again goes the distance. Yes, like goes the decision. Yes, like it's all just favorites. So it's just real bland, very vanilla.
Yeah, there's not a ton of value here that you can get unless you just take like a random deep shot and score on it, like a round 3 submission from Torres plus 2,500. We're not going to hit that.
Round $5.
I won't even.
Yeah.
Like you said, all these fights have been going the distance. All right, next up we've got Vicente Luque and Michael Chiesa. Really excited about this fight. Big Vicente Luque fan. I'll just lead off with that. He's my guy. I'm going with the striking over the wrestling and grappling in this one. Who do you like?
I like Chiesa. I think I have him. Do I have him winning? No, I had him winning by decision. I mean, it's either that or they're gonna submit each other. That's kind of how it is. What I see, but I had Chiesa winning by decision. I just think that they both have power to like really knock each other out, but they haven't really been knocked out themselves. Like Chiesa's only lost by rear triangle armbar. And then there was a cut once and a Darcy choke. So he's only, only suffered any losses by submission. And I think Luque's more of a fighter. He's
a finisher. He's a finisher for sure.
Yeah. So, he did win by Darcy choke, but Tyron Woodley, like that's a street fighter. He's going to be.
He finished him in the first round, though. You know what I mean? Like that is how you go out there and handle Tyron Woodley right now in the UFC. Is like you put him down early, and if you make him tap, cool, because that's not what Vicente Luque does. He has 11 wins from TKO, and he's been lighting dudes up in his last 3 fights. His last 3 fights, he has 3 stoppages. Now, mind you, one of them, the last one was Tyron Woodley, and it was lickety split. I think the fight before that was round 2, and the fight before that was round 3. The fighters aren't coming to me right now off the top of my head. I'm sure I can pull it up here in a minute. But I'm just going with the striking here because you have 2 different styles. You have Michael Chiesa, who can make this a slow and boring fight, which I expect him to try and do. It's just that he sets up his takedowns by getting in close with you, getting in, boxing a little bit, throwing the legs around. And I'm not sure if he's going to get those opportunities with Luque because he's going to be throwing those jabs and those strikes right back at him, right in his face. So I'm expecting a good amount of boxing to start. But it's really up to Chiesa to get this fight to the ground and make it a boring fight and get control time, land clinches, land takedowns, and make it a boring fight. Just keep him on his back, and that could give him the win. It's not necessarily going to get him fight of the night, though. You know what I mean? Like at the same time, Luque is in a better position to leap forward in this division more so than Chiesa. So I think Luque really, really wants to finish him so that he can move up. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, we're seeing literally tonight the heavyweight title has just been taken away from Francis Ngannou, who just won it because he wouldn't fight. In the UFC, you gotta make or break. You got to go out there and put on a show. It's going to be tough for Michael Chiesa to do that, trying to make this a slow and boring fight. So I'm going with Luque in this one. Let's jump into some of the props. Luque's got a pretty low striking total, in my opinion, for 76.5. You think he can hit the over?
I don't think so, because the thing is, I think that Luque is going to try and like you said, try and finish Chiesa, but Chiesa is a very gritty guy. Like he hasn't been knocked out at all. He only had one loss by TKO, but that was a cut. I think that Chiesa is going to take advantage of him, swinging the entire time and rope-a-dope him into the ground. So I think that it's going to be more of a boring fight in this sense because Chiesa is almost like the ground. I want to say Jake Shields. Jake Shields fought for points all the time, so I think Chiesa is going to do enough to just win the fight. But Luque is definitely going to be looking for the knockout. I mean, Dana's put everybody on notice. Like you got to be an exciting fighter for you to even get the stay on the card. So I'm gonna say under on that.
Yeah, for me with Chiesa, his last opponents, they've all been old and they've been really good matchups stylistically, right? You look at Neil Magny, Rafael Dos Anjos, Diego Sanchez, Carlos Condit. Neil Magny was the only guy his same age. He was 33 when they took that fight. All these other guys have been older and slower than him, less athletic than I'd say of Vicente Luque. And his previous losses, he's got losses to Anthony Pettis in 2018 and Kevin Lee in 2017. Now Pettis was, I believe, at the same age as Chiesa at that time, and Kevin Lee was a little bit younger, but overall a little bit more athletic fighters, right? So I feel like this matchup is going to be a little bit too much for Chiesa. I feel like he's going to be overpowered at certain points, but I can see the argument because realistically, they don't do the same things. It's not like you can say like, oh, one guy's just a better boxer than the other. Well, of course he is. Luque can absolutely box better than Chiesa, but Chiesa can take people to the ground better than Luque can. Luque's got a decent takedown defense. It's about 65%, but he doesn't really try to do takedowns a lot. So I think he'll use his defenses, keep himself upright on the side of the cage, move things around a little bit so that prevents takedown opportunities for Chiesa. But at the end of the day, I'm still taking Luque on this one. I still kind of like Chiesa's strike total, though. 56.5 seems a little bit low for a guy that still likes to stand and box a little bit. So I'll take the over for both, actually. So Vicente Luque, 76.5 strikes. Michael Chiesa, 56.5. I'll take the over for both, actually, because I still think there's going to be a fair amount of exchanges, especially to start this fight. What was the total for the roundage? We're looking at, what is it? Because the one I have on the bottom screen is more up to date. So over 2.5 rounds, minus 146, under 2.5 rounds, plus 116. I still see it could potentially go the distance. I feel like Chiesa will definitely lean on the point scoring later in this fight, kind of similar to Song and Kenny. But I still feel like Luque can finish him early. So I'm probably going to stay away from that total. Just going to take Luque straight up. What do you think about just distance, round picks, anything in particular that jumps out at you here?
No, except that I'm right on the books, basically. Goes the distance, minus 115 is the favorite. So, Chiesa by points, plus 220. That's the favorite in method plus rounds. So, kind of weird how I'm kind of like I didn't look at the books and I'm right on point with them.
Yeah, Chiesa by points is at plus 220. Luque by points is plus 260.
That's what I would take, plus 220. I'll take that any time of the week.
Yeah. So similar to how I'm doing with Yadong in the first fight, I'm going to do Luque with a hedge. I'm going to do round 2 TKO plus 1150, parlayed with, or hedge, not parlayed with, plus 260 for Luque by points. Really hope I hit the 1150.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got Jose Aldo and Pedro Munez. Who do you got in this one?
Let me pull up my picks real quick because I just had them up. For this one,
Munhoz was actually a underdog or a dog in this one yesterday. Today, the odds have him at nearly even. So yesterday he was about plus 100. Munhoz today now at minus 104.
I'm taking Munez with a second round KO.
Son of a bitch! You looked at my sheet.
What? Come on now. I didn't look at anything. I just wing this stuff. But Jose Aldo, he was a great fighter when he was on point, but he's been getting knocked out lately, and I think that Munez has the ability to do that to him. That's just kind of where it's at. Like Aldo's just not the same fighter, and it's really just kind of like a stepping stone in the division at this point, kind of like a gatekeeper for the top echelon.
Munoz has had, what is it, 3 fight of the nights in a row?
Whoa.
Like the dude's rolling. Jose Aldo rolling on his back. Like the Peter Yan fight was a murderous beatdown. It was like
Yeah.
250 plus strikes for Peter Yan to Jose Aldo's 83.
Jeez.
Aldo did beat Marlon Vera in his last bout, but Marlon Vera did outstrike him in that one. But Jose Aldo had a couple of takedowns, a little bit of control time, and hey, you got to win. There it is. We need you to be relevant again. But man, the Marlon Moraes fight outstruck, or no, he did actually outstrike Marlon Moraes, but he still lost. Alexander Volkanovski, another beatdown that he took. He got knocked out back-to-back fights against Max Holloway, and the previous KO was, the infamous Conor McGregor fight. So, yeah, I hate using this term because, man, if I'm going to call a fighter frail, what the fuck am I? You know what I mean? But in his old age, he doesn't seem to have as strong a chin as his opponents do, right? Munoz, he's on fire. He lands a ton of strikes. He's landing 5.5 per minute or something like that, but taking in just as much damage. So he is a pure, stand up and box with you guy. Jose Aldo, he is getting a little bit more technical. He is trying to work in a little bit more of the ground game. He is trying to work in takedowns. And I think that really proved, from his last fight when he was able to get the win over Marlon Vera. I was like, hey, all I got to do is land a couple of takedowns, and I don't even have to hit the guy as much as he hits me. I can take home a win. I did think Vera won that fight. That's just my opinion. But they don't let me sit at the side of the ring and count strikes and all that other jazz. So I don't like Jose Aldo in this one whatsoever. I think Munoz has another opportunity for fight of the night. I think this fight and the Casey Kenny and Yadong Song fight, those are the two up for fight of the night. I think that we could see some real fireworks here. What do you think of the props? We got Munoz, 94.5 total strikes. Jose Aldo, 62.5. I still like the over for Jose. What do you think about Munoz, though?
I'm going to say under for Munoz. I'm going to say under for Aldo, too. I mean, second round, I think that, they're going to kind of feel each other out in the first round just to kind of get the range, try and see, the distance. And then they're just going to rock him, sock him. And Aldo, like you said, just doesn't have as strong of a chin. That's what happens with these, killer of a fighters when they're younger. They take so much damage. And when they get to an older age, it happens to everybody, like Chuck Liddell, Dan Henderson. I remember watching Dan Henderson getting knocked out for the first time by Belfort, but he was on PRT. No one said anything, but when they get older, it's just easier to knock them out because they've already taken so much damage. So I'm gonna say under for both.
Yeah, I like the over for both. Both have been coming pretty close to these numbers in 3-round bouts, so I think that we have a pretty good likelihood that they hit the over on both. That's at monkeyknifefight.com. 94.5 strikes for Munoz and 62.5 for Aldo. I think those are pretty low numbers, actually, especially if you just go back and look at how many strikes are being landed on Aldo. I think you'll see that number is pretty appetizing, actually. All right, so method of victory. We got Jose Aldo by points leading the way at plus 160. It stinks. I don't like it. Well, yeah, he came in as the favorite. Like I said yesterday, Munoz was the dog. We weren't getting plus odds this morning. Munoz by points has moved up to plus 225. You know what? Round two actually was my inclination, but kind of similar to with Kenny and that first fight, I think Aldo is also going to have some issues with going deep into the third round. If they in fact get there. So I'll take the third round finish. Let's see what we get for that. A third round TKO for Munoz is paying plus 1,300. It's really not all that far back. So I think that's what I'll ride with as Munoz in the third. Maybe hedge that with Munoz by points as well. See what I can get out of that. Aldo, I just feel like he's on his last leg. They were asking him yesterday during the presser, how are you, trying to get back to the top of this division? He says fight by fight. I don't know. I feel like fight by fight process is closer to getting him out of the UFC at this point, but I could be wrong.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on. Main event, we got Derek Lewis and Ciryl Gane. Who you got?
Derek Lewis. Give me Derek Lewis. I'm going to say second round. These are heavyweights, guys. Let's be real about it. They don't like going too far. They like to swing really hard. Derek Lewis has I think it's the most knockouts most knockouts in the heavyweight division. And Gane, or is it Gane or Gane?
Gane. It's
Gane.
French. I don't care.
It's terrible. Gane, he hasn't beating up people. From what I see of his record, he won by decision against Volkov. Rosenstruck decision. It was an elbow against Junior Dos Santos, who's kind of in the same boat as Aldo, I feel like, at this point. And then before that, it was Boser in decision, and then a heel hook, a triangle arm choke. And back in 2019, he did an uppercut to ground and pound against a guy named Roger Souza. So, Derek Lewis is just a different guy. He's trying to go in there, knock people out, knocked out Blades with an uppercut. Right hook to ground and pound, and then he lost by punches to Dos Santos. But other than that, he's been knocking people out and stuff. Ground and pound seems to be his best thing. So Gane better be careful getting close to him, because if he gets taken down, it's going to be bombs away on him. So I'm taking Derek Lewis in the second round because these guys are trying to knock each other out.
I'm taking Ciryl Gane in the second round because these guys are trying to knock each other out. I think Gane is just going to be a different level of fighter for him. He looks more like a Francis Ngannou, who Derek Lewis, in fairness, has beaten before, right? He has finished Francis, but we've all seen the run that Francis has been on, right? Like, you can turn it on really quick, and you can easily just fire back those strikes just the same. But what I like about Gane, he can do a little bit of everything. Like you just mentioned, he's won by decision. He's won by TKO. He's won by submission. He's, a triple threat fighter right now in comparison to Derek Lewis, who has to get in close and has to finish him. Now, there's a lot of upside for Derek Lewis to still finish this fight inside the first round. But I do feel like we get a lot of fireworks, right out of the first 5 minutes. I think there will be some filling out process, but Derek Lewis is another guy that, man, you could watch a minute go by and he looks like, it's the fifth round. You know what I mean? Like, he does not have the same level of cardio as Ciryl Gane. So it's in his benefit to, yes, keep that distance, utilize more of the legs, utilize that distance and athleticism, right? Derek Lewis actually looks really good coming into this fight physically. Like, the weight may be there. He may be heavier than Gane, but he actually looks a lot better than I've seen him in some of his fights, like physically wise. We're fighting in Houston tonight. Derek Lewis's hometown. That's a big amount of upside. You're going to have the entire stadium booing Gane. You're going to have the entire stadium cheering on Derek Lewis. So there is that factor in play there. Someone asked Derek Lewis yesterday, as the last question, the presser says, hey, what would it be like if you lost to Ciryl Gane in your hometown? He said, hey, man, no disrespect, quote unquote, but fuck you. and the presser. That's it. It's over. Go home, everybody. It was great. So Derek Lewis, winner of every single soundbite out there. That's for sure. When it's soundbites, he's undefeated. I just think he's going up against a bit of a different beast who is right now undefeated in the UFC, a guy that can do a little bit of everything. And I think that's why we see the odds the way they are. Ciryl Gane, minus 355, essentially negative to 3-1 odds, because he can fight at every level to Derek Lewis's 1. You know what I mean? I really like the under 3.5 rounds. I think that's a great bet. Either way, minus 155. I'll take that to the bank, because honestly, it's going to be tough picking this winner. I feel like both guys could knock each other out, even in the first round. But I do like your second round take, just because I expect one of these guys to be drug over, And realistically, Gane can hurt Lewis at any point in this fight. So we got 95.5 strikes over under for Ciryl Gane, and Derek Lewis 38.5. I like the under for both, I guess. That's a big spread.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under for. I mean, Lewis is going to get real close to his number. I feel like that it's going to take a couple hits to, really stun Gane, even though they both have explosive power. But these guys are going to try and knock each other out, so they're expecting to be fighting. I'm going to say under for Gane, and I'm going to say over for Lewis. Because it's such a low number, I feel, even in two rounds. Is. I mean, like 15 punches in 2 rounds. I think that's wait, what is it again? Because I just had it up. Oh, it's 19 punches or 20 punches. I think it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a really low number, but I'm going to say early knockout for somebody, so I'll go the under for both. I'll just kind of stay away from it. Let's see. Method of victory, odds favorite, Ciryl Gane by KO or TKO. Wow. I'm paying plus 135. Ciryl Gane by points is the next odds favorite, plus 200. I do not see this going happening. 5 rounds. No way. No chance. Derek Lewis next up by TKO at plus 350. That's a great bet, because he doesn't really win any other way. What do we say? 3 decisions and no submissions, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good bet. If you like Derek Lewis, plus 280 or the plus 350. I'd rather take the plus 350 for him to win it by knockout.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Alternate round total. See, a decent prop here. You always got to wait till the main event. Over 1.5, under 1.5. Under 1.5 is plus 190. Any shot? You like it?
I would put a couple dollars on it. Just to kind of like hedge my bet, because I think it's going to go under 2.5 for sure. But under 1.5, absolutely possible.
Yeah, we also get better odds for start roundage. So to start round 3, yes is minus 150 or minus 150. No is plus 120. I like the plus 120 there for the start round 3. I like this fight to get finished in the second round by either guy. And that's honestly just because I feel like I said, Lewis is going to be, trying to keep the gas levels, even keel, right? He's if he's not finishing the fight, then he's got to prepare for 5 rounds. And I think he's going to back off the gas a little bit if he's drugging deep into that second round, with Gane still, trying to do some significant damage here. Let's see. Unanimous decision. Derek Lewis plus 1,800. Wow.
That's
Cyril Gane plus
money.
250.
That's just stealing people's money. There's no way that's going to decision.
Goes the distance. No, minus 200. Yes, plus 160. That's terrible. I'm going to say no for the 200. Let's see. Method plus round. Gane by points is plus 200. Again, don't like that. Gane round 1 plus 650. Gane round 2 plus 850. Yeah, I got to go with the plus 850 there in round 2.
I like the plus 1,200 Derek Lewis round 2 knockout.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Point spread on striking. I really like Gane minus 5.5. It's paying minus 280 though. Not the best odds.
Yeah.
What do you think about Lewis plus 5.5?
No, I think he's not gonna. Like, he has so much power in his swings. Like, you can't throw like. It's kind of like video games. You can't throw the haymaker every single punch because you're going to lose all your stamina. So I don't think he's going to have more than Gane.
I think he's just going to come right at him. I think he's just going to run right at him, gas him out, try to gas him out quick.
Yeah, I see that.
All right, cool. I was trying to find any other props we could add in here. See, they really didn't have any like the fun props, like what Buffer might say. How many times someone might reference Joe Rogan not being there. There's no blood props. Like
we'll see what the Diaz fights.
Yeah. We got Nick Diaz up on 266.
How many puffs does he take at the presser? Over under 10.
Right. I haven't seen any props for the pressers, but yeah, that'll be a much better card for props. Because I was going through the list and I was just like, man, these are like so bland. Like they're not giving us any fun ones. Blood, Buffer, no Joe Rogan ones in here. So, all right, cool. I guess we'll close it down. That's about all we got here for the preview. I'll just ask you a few. What are you more excited about, Michael Chandler and Gaethje, or Miocic and John Jones?
Miocic and John Jones. I saw John Jones fight in person in Baltimore, and it was the first Maryland event for UFC. And man, he tore up Teixeira, and his outside life has really affected his ability to stay consistent in terms of like being able to actually fight. But when he is in the ring, he is one of the best fighters of all time, and there's nothing you can say about that. He's really, really good. And I love watching him, and I'm honored to be able to see him in person, because that was an amazing fight. Like he didn't knock out Teixeira. He diced him up, like almost like a boxing match, and just like played with him. Like it was almost like watching a tiger play with its food. So I'm a John Jones guy for sure. So I'm excited for that.
Oh, I mean, I'll be watching the fight. I'll be paying for that, twice if I can. I would love to.
He's like McGregor. I'll pay. I used to pay for McGregor. Now I'll always pay for John Jones until I see something different from him.
Right. But I'm really excited about this lightweight class, though. I'm really excited for that Chandler and Gaethje fight. I think that's going to be a very, very good matchup. Both guys can strike. Both guys can wrestle, clinch, whatever. So it's very an equally stylistic fight. So I'm very excited for that one. And just overall, like, man, Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, Gaethje, Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler, Islam Makhachev, Still got Tony Ferguson, hasn't retired. Everyone's saying he has to. Dan Hooker, Conor McGregor, what's going to happen with him next? Like, this is a very exciting division. They were talking at the presser about the Bantam class being the most exciting class, and I disagree. I think it's the light heavyweight. Maybe you can mix in some of the, the welterweight class. Obviously, you still got exciting guys like Usman, Masvidal. Guys, see what happens with Stephen Thompson as he closes out his career. So, yeah, I'm really excited for both of those fights. Looking forward to them. Hopefully everybody has a good night. May the winners be yours. You got anything to close it down with, Nick?
You guys already know. Hold your doge, because days like this do happen.
That's true. And go buy some. It was on sale for months.
Yeah, I like 20, and everybody's like, "Oh, dude, should I sell it?" I'm like, "What are you doing?"
No.
Like, I told you 5 years, and did 5 years come up? Like, I'm looking at my imaginary watch, and everybody's like, "No, it's only been a month." Buy more than buy the dips. That's what they always say. Buy the dips.
Exactly. No, I'm with it. I liked my little uptick in profit today, so that was nice to see. But Take care, everybody. Be well. Hopefully the winners are yours tonight. Be good, and if you can't be good at it. Later.
See you guys.